Hilti and VID in this case are just working and educating the market and getting and trying to avoid that then the GC is going to a company on on the corner. I think we're happy when FM joins that table, when we see that meeting request with the customer, and then the customer is saying, "Oh, I got some news. We got now insured by FM." Is it a benefit also? I think if you look at the structure wise, if you apply sprinklers as a technology or low pressure water mist in this case.
It's a big advantage. You have one advantage from one side, which is the technical advantage regarding to safety. So it means a better cooling on the structural ceiling level. So it means that the structure is actually much better protected and safe compared with sprinkler. On the other side, you have a much lighter system. So that means that your system is going to be lighter and your structure can be much way lighter, or also your fixing structure can be much way lighter. So it's a question of being flexible at the end of the day. And we know that there are clients who are building those data center just as a single story large plot, maybe much more in US, but here we are in London and we are in Europe. We have a lot of buildings. All those data centers need to be close to cities. They have to be 3, 4, 6, we saw 7, 8 floors even. And we are not even mentioning what's happening in India, where we are seeing data center of 10 floors. The more we have a lighter structure, the more we have a compact system, the more we can build up flexible and froze those designs first. Because I understood there is also a commercial reason for the client to froze those designs first, because the sooner you freeze your design, the better you can award to GCs, the better you have control of your supply chain. It's a whole partnership at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's good to hear that also, of course. All these benefits that we are seeing here, and that in the integration also of course, and working just in an early stage. I think that's the bit the thing is work together in an early stage.
Exactly, and getting in there, and because I think mist systems are getting slowly there, and I think particularly for outlying technical buildings, the electrical rooms and mechanical rooms, generator enclosures, I think it really is now broken through as being the preferred solution. It's now getting into the data centers themselves, and getting, and it's an inherently quite conservative client base. So it's actually, as you are, it's just getting it, edging your way in there, and it will break through.
No, definitely.
Patience.
No, patience. Patience is also the key here. But if you look at, for example, because we see that FM Global is insuring more and more operators out there, and we know that they are not always coming in Reba stage 2, 3, but likely perhaps in 4, and perhaps even after 4. How is Hilti dealing with these insurance requirements?
FM approval is like a global safety net for clients. So Hilti working everywhere around the world, especially in US, you would see FM approvals are almost the number one respected documentation when it comes to fire stopping and fire suppression systems. So we tend to hold, just for ease of mind sometimes, we tend to hold and renew our FM approvals for almost 90-95% of our fire stop products. So people can take the same product anywhere in the world and they can have that ease of mind and use the FM approved product on their side.
That's good. Is that how you differentiate yourself from the rest of the market?
Well, we differentiate ourselves in many ways.
Yes.
Like we discussed in the past, we have very big sustainability goals. We want to be carbon zero in 2050, and we have lots of testing for specific data center related, pharma related problems. So we want to go up front with innovative products, a lot of testing. We do engineering judgments and engineered solutions specific for these kind of projects. And we want to make sure the client has the best service, like highly tested product, 100% correct, and the safety net of FM approval. So they don't need to worry about anything. That's the main goal.
I was hearing about Batu talking about FM, and again, the first thing I thought was again integration. Even FM as an insurance company, of course, they have their own data sheet which they explain how to protect data center. But on the insurance company side, why bringing an insurance company is too late on board? That again goes back again to have unfreeze design, because then the insurance company is changing some parameters, and the client of course wants to match it as soon as possible, because as much as possible, sorry, to achieve a good insurance fee at the end of the day, but also to achieve a safer building. And again, why not having insurance company integrated at the early stages?
Yeah, that's right. I think talking about these things that we are thrown back sometimes, and how, for example, Hilti and VID in this case are just working and educating the market and getting and trying to avoid that then the GC is going to a company on the corner. I think we're happy when FM joins that table, when we see that meeting request with the customer, and then the customer is saying, "Oh, I got some news. We got now insured by FM." There is where we differentiate us from the rest, because then that company in the corner just or somewhere else, they cannot be. So then this FM engineer comes in, and if we're not on the table, they will say, "Okay, look, that was not FM approved. That's not FM approved. Please go out there and get us FM approved solutions."
But I think you're in a different place to where Hilti are. The decision to go for a mist system is a very early, it's a stage 2 decision in my mind.
Yes.
If you've committed to do it and you've got the FM criteria, then that's the route you're going to go. Where Hilti are, if you like, vulnerable is because actually, unfortunately, there is still a majority of clients, I think it's fair to say, who actually don't think about the fast stopping until stage 5, even when they're even after they've built it, and go, "Oh, we better go and let a fast stopping package, and oh dear, we can't actually fill these holes in a compliant manner." And then they go, "Please, Hilti, can you help us?" That's your worst stage, and that's where they go, "Oh well, yeah, you can pay us and we'll do it." And that's where you're reputationally, if you like, I'll be honest, this is where Hilti was sort of known for coming in as the sort of white knight at the end and charging a lot of money to solve the problem, and that got a bad reputation for being, if you like, a premium service. What I think is now really good is that Hilti have repositioned themselves to being able to influence early on. That's the win-win for everybody. But unfortunately, not all clients see it like that, which is different from you guys.
Yes,
where
definitely,
actually, if you decide to go mist, you've cut your cloth, if you like.
Yeah, if it's FM approved, then it's fine. That's right. And
yeah.
otherwise not. Yes.
And then if you go, well, actually, if it's not going to be, then you're going to go for a standard sprinkler system. You're going down that route, and that's the route the mechanical guys and the fire engineering and everything else is. So your compartment sizes and everything is just going down that route. It's quite difficult to change horses, I would suggest, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're stage 5, you'd be quite pushed to move from one to
we have
the
been doing it in stage 5.
You can do
I
it.
remember
Okay.
discussing with Riccardo,
Yeah,
actually,
you
I
can.
asked about this. You can actually change the
You can
standard
actually
sprinkler
change. You
system
can
after.
actually change, of
I
course.
wouldn't,
They call it
okay.
value engineering.
They call it
Yeah.
value
Okay,
engineering.
okay.
For sure, if that value engineering comes at an earlier stage, around stage
It
3
should
design
do.
is
It
much,
should
much
do.
better.
Back
Back
to
to the
value engineering. When it's at the end, it's just cost cutting.
Yes, yeah.
It's a people call it value engineering. No, it's cutting costs. Let's be clear.
And back to the FM, I was always laughing. We had several FM insured customers which are having meetings. We discuss the system. This is stage 3, 4, 5. Sometimes also FM is getting back saying, "Wow, the system perfect, fully FM approved." But look, your building is not FM approved, because the way you are building up that building is not in line with what we ask for. For example, we place the battery rooms inside the building, and we're not placing those battery rooms facing outside, or perhaps much even better in a containerized spot out there.
Yeah.
So again, it's back to being involved in the early stages and to bringing that knowledge on the table that the customer can be supported. Because if you are too far in design and then you are at stage 5 or building permit, or you're even start construction, because sometimes you as a client award construction and then you award the MEP package afterwards, then it's done, because then it's too late. And
all things can change, because I mean you've got a provide a colo provider, and they've changed client or a tenant, and that tenant comes with a whole lot of different requirements.
Yeah,
all sorts of things can change. It's
that
very
is,
fluid right until the signature, and even after the signature. So it's a very fluid, and I'm trying to think of it as one answer. There are a number of sort of typologies, if you like, of data center, but actually every one has its own twist. They're very specific, and then they have different problems to solve, which
Yeah.
is where this man comes in and comes and sorts it off for you.
And then that's not value engineering; it's problem solving
Problem
sometimes.
solving. You know, but
Are you
yeah.
are you involved in these things? Because I was talking also with some operators, and there was one division, one department was saying, look, they were like a bit more like the superstars, because they were making from that warehouse that they were getting from that other department, they were making the real data center. So that's these guys are then in contact with the tenants. That's what you say. Then when that decision is made, is Hilti? I know, of course, you need to be at that early stage in the base design, but how is the fit out? Is that changing a lot of things sometimes when they change tenant at the end, or just they get another data hub with another tenant?
In data centers, we are not very much involved in the retrofitting processes yet. It's mostly new builds, and I don't know if they change tenants. Do they need to change any fire stop seals, etc.? We didn't receive such requests, but we were involved in a couple of retrofit projects for some jobs that they basically bought like an old building, old pharma facility, etc., with multiple floors, ripping out everything, then retrofitting for a data center. Then we have the old openings in, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago under BS 476 British standard. It was okay to leave a 3 by 5 meter opening. Now we have to fix it with the current EN norm, etc. So these kind of retrofit jobs, large scale, we go to the site with the EPC client, we take a walk, we mark the problems, what can be done, and we help them on site. But overall, for data centers, it's mostly new builds stuff we deal with. So,
But I was going to say that of Hilti, we've been thinking about fire protection from Hilti, but one of the powers that Hilti have is so many other aspects of the business. So the racking, the conveyance, design, fixings. So for instance, the rack being fixed to the floor, particularly in seismic areas, you're going straight into, you've got a rack and fixing all being designed by Hilti. It's you know, the very wide product range that you get from you know, I know that's your thing is the fire protection, but you've got all these other aspects of the Hilti business which are all coming into the data center sector. So again, there's that integration of various Hilti products that can really help to just make a much more slick way of finding a solution, so that the fire stopping around the containment is actually being held in a conveyance that's been designed, that Hilti have done the testing on with the fire products. It really builds up a much really interesting detailed picture solution.
We discussed yesterday also the thing with the bush bars. I know even that you guys are even testing these things. So you even test a bush bar. So one specific bush bars from AA, for example, you need to test that to be sure that your product are fitting.
Yeah. Look, with data center industry like bus bars, we are seeing very interesting new penetration types in the industry. Bus bars are standardized, I think, in 2021 EN 1366 Part 3. But bus bars in every different manufacturer, ENE, ENI Vertiv, Schneider, Legrand, and some of them have a copper core, some of them are double, triple stack, some of them are aluminum, some of them are cast resin, which should be melting during the fire, but for some reason it doesn't melt with the protection they install around it. So these stuff, you have to have testing for them. You have to keep testing them because they are coming up with new versions all the time. So like our aim is basically partnering up with these manufacturers, taking their bus bars, partnering up with Paroc, Eurobond, taking their sandwich panels, basically putting Hilti system. So it's so much collaboration you need to chase.
But you need to test them all, because it's not you defining which bus bar they're going to choose.
Yes,
Exactly.
you can't.
Indeed, and the thing is that this goes back to this point about somebody coming in at the end of the day and going cheap, is that they can put a fast stopping system up, and in good faith have done that, and they've gone around the bus bars, and then the next layer of services has gone in, and then somebody's going, well, can I have the certification? There isn't the certification, so you've got a double problem. One, you can't get access because you've covered over with services, and then you've got to rip the whole thing back out again, and that has huge impact, which contractors are really mindful of. That actually going back in and working at height and having to undo stuff because it hasn't been properly certificated.
Yeah.
So that going back to the beginning, the collaboration piece, that's why you have to be thinking through.
Yeah.
Are you using a Schneider, or what's the direction of travel in terms of these elements, so you can find the appropriate product.
But it's also difficult. We cannot get in that early stage define which bus bar they're going to use. So we need to be prepared for anything what's coming in there. I think as what Hilti is doing, I think it's the way to go. Of course, to be prepared through whenever you choose.
And keep testing.
And keep on testing.
They should keep testing too. I saw the fire test videos of sprinkler systems. They are amazing. Big fires.
So talking about testing,
fire.
I know, of course, the testing that we have been doing from some hyperscalers. We know FM approvals. Is that the way we are as VID Firekill innovating, getting ahead on the game that is coming?
It is, and it is not. So it is, first of all, because we need, as a manufacturer, to be as much close to the new standard release. And it's just not a matter of being FM insured, it's a matter of being compliant with European regulation, it's a matter of being compliant with NFPA, because we know that at the end of the day, being NFPA a simple guideline and VDN regulation, not including data centers, the only document we have to refer to is that one. So that's first of all a compliance that we as a global manufacturer have to go for. Also consider new standard updates. We saw all the data center fire protocols that we are not considering that much hazardous material that we have right now. The HE2 is not only lithium-ion batteries and BBUs. There are customers think, oh, yeah, I have BBUs, I have to go HE2. No, you have to go HE2 because you have multiple level of cable trays. You have to go HE2 because your server is non-combustible, is combustible. You have to go HE2 because you are not shutting down your servers. There is a bunch of reasons behind you have to go HE2. There will be a day in which those data will also be HE3 because the amount of cable tray will be much more. And that's what we already tested for. But now I come back to the no part of my answer, because there is always something that is beyond any local code, that is beyond any regulation or any fire test, and it's what's really happening in reality, like high ventilations, like potential explosions, like an unpredictable number of cable trays. And we as manufacturer, what we are doing currently is to take that product that is fully FM approved and to further performance test to exceed what is beyond the expectation of a standard, to get that customer flexible.
Okay, so yeah, you just need to keep improving in there and to be ahead of the game.
It's keep on improving it, and the only way to be in that game is to be connected with the industry.
Yeah.
Is to be connected with the industry, to spend time with companies like Hilti, to learn from each other, but also to spend time with the client and to learn what they are actually doing.
So I think recapping a bit also this episode is that I think it's important to integrate, to engage also in an early stage,
and make sure that value of that early stage is properly understood. If the client understands the value, so that it gives you some protection, if you like, later down the line when somebody's not understanding that value and looking for cost or making it cheaper.
Yeah, making the value proposition.
Making sure it's really properly understood. And I think Hilti are really breaking through on that, but people understanding the value that they're adding at that early stage. Alongside the white wall guys, they're all very committed to that early stage because they understand there are so many variables, but if you get it right, the value will actually break through.
Yeah, I think what you're saying also there is it's important. I think even that early stage commitment and engagement is also bringing things like shorter lead times, sustainability part. You can be more focused on there. That's also one of the important ones. We see different stages of design. We see that we want to get engaged in an early stage there. But still, when we are thrown back from Reba 4 back to 2 or 3, we are still flexible, that we can adjust ourselves, keep innovating, keep on testing, keep on making sure that when you get there, when you are just the last one on the table, as you brought in one of the last ones, you need to be also prepared for what the customer is coming up with.
Well, you guys need to be prepared too.
Yeah,
you,
surprises.
you honestly widened my horizon yesterday, like seeing all of the things that goes into suppression systems. Even me in fire protection industry, walking into the data center, there are sprinklers. I never think about, which type, how they work, how many of them needed, how do they design it, how do they test it. Like even seeing a couple of fire test videos, it was really cool for me
The
even
interesting
to learn
part
from
was
you.
The interesting part was, but how we are looking the bit differently. For example, whenever we talk with customers, we always forget about the corridors. For example, we just talk about the data halls, we talk about the batteries, we talk about the UPS, the transformer, the genset, what they are, the pool fires, and then we never talk about the corridors.
Yeah.
And yesterday we were chatting, and I said, "Oh, you are not considering which is the most hazardous area for us." Because I understood that for the passive fire protection, the corridors are the area in which all the penetration are. So that's your most challenging area. And for us, it's almost the area that we don't even look at that, because it's a simple way, escaping route in which the interaction and the behavior of what I miss with the escaping route is that easy. I don't want to say easy, but is that easy at the end.
Yeah.
That we focus the energies on the critical spaces. So that's again back to knowing from each other, learning from each other, and the next time the client we are approaching the corridor, I will never forget anymore about the integration, and I will never forget anymore about the penetration of walls.
I think it's important also, and I think we asked this question: who needs to lead that integration part? I think we as manufacturers just need to take the lead to understand what we're doing, how we really can integrate those disciplines that we're doing right now. I know we're working with the Hilti teams also to just get some pre drawings done in anchors, in anything what we can use in there to be there on top of the ball. Just we need to be on top of the ball. I think that's a good thing that we're doing, and we just need to do it more. Like Riccardo is saying, just understand what we're doing, and then see how we can have that situation in which we just are combining those benefits and that integration part and that early stage, and then really having a good value proposition to the customer, and then that people really understand.
Understanding. That's
Yes,
the trick.
that's the key.
Yeah.
So I think understanding is just. I want to thank you all three very much for your time, very much for this open discussion. I enjoyed it. I think it's just great having spent this time with you and understand a bit better. I hope also with this episode that for the followers and the viewers just understands that having open discussions together with consultants, with other manufacturers that are just in this case also part of that industry of data centers, that we just try not to tell what's good, bad, or wrong. It's just to just have that chat and be open and honest what we see and what we don't see, and what can be done and what cannot be done. That's I think the thing. And then from there, everybody will take his key learning points out of there and just perhaps integrate. And perhaps we're going to have a lot of calls from architects saying, "Oh guys, I just saw your podcast. Please give us a call." It's a good thing. It's a good thing that you want to be earlier. They're on top of the ball with us.
Yeah.
Just come and educate the people, and then it's up to us.
Yeah.
So I think that's also a good thing that I think this episode will just create that awareness that we as manufacturers also are ready to work together, to learn from each other, and to take the next step together. And there is just at the end of the day. So yeah, thanks again for being here, and
Thanks to you all, guys.
Yeah, see you next time. Thanks.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thanks.
Yeah.
This was this episode of Data Centers on Fire. We hope that you enjoyed it, that you have some key points to take out of this. If we have been creating here a bit more awareness on how we as manufacturers are teaming up together with consultants to try to add value and to be in that part of the integration on top of the ball, that's already a win for all of us. So hope to see you in next episodes. For this one, bye from Data Center World London. And again, thank you for my guest.